Hello! Hello everybody, this is actually the third time that I'm recording this episode because I can never get it right, so hopefully today is the day. For those of you who just joined this channel, my name is Margot and you just joined us in the second episode of Plans for Beginners and Plans for Work.
Let's get rolling.
Today I'm going to talk to you about a plant that is very dear to my heart and that nobody likes. Nobody puts it on Instagram, nobody puts it on its plant tour. Most people don't find it sexy, they don't find it interesting, which puts me in a very delicate situation because this is actually a plant that's very dear to my heart and in which I see many things that most people don't, but that's mainly because of the sentimental and family attachment to it, if that makes any sense. So yes, get a little package of tissues because, my dear, you're in for a little bit of an emotional ride right now. So the plant I want to talk to you about today is the Yuca tree. Now, in a botanical point of view, the Yuca tree is in the agave family. It is native from a very dry environment, South America or desertic areas like California and Mexico. The yucca is by far the easiest beginner plant that you can ever get, and I want to take a little moment to give it its time under the spotlight. A little bit about my relationship with the yucca. I guess I'm gonna start like this. The reason why I love the yucca is because it's always been in my family. My parents always had yuccas in the house. Mind you that it is this kind of plant that gives you grandma vibes, a bit like the begonias, like the old days. And this expression takes all its meaning really with me because it is literally the plant of my grandma. As far as I can remember, ever since I was born, I've always had yuccas laying around in every house that we ever moved in. I believe the yuccas that my parents have right now in their house are actually the same yucca that we've had since I was born, really, so that makes it 30. Ooh. So I guess that makes the yucca a little bit more like a family member to me. I have around 6-ish of them laying around in my flat, and my flat is not that big, so having 6 of the same kind of plant actually means a lot. The very first yucca cuttings that I ever brought in this flat is actually a cutting that my grandma gave me, and it is by far one of my most precious plant, even though on the market value side of things, this plant will probably be worth 10 euros, something like that. But you know, there are some plants that we all have in our collections that mean more to us than any kind of money. So yeah, I guess this plant in particular is a kind that I would never sell and I want to keep with me for as long as I can. Because when my grandma will no longer be with us, I will have something to remember her by. I mean, she means more to me than the plant, but you know, it's like having a little piece of your family with you all the time. And apart from that, because it is also a plant that I've grew up around for 30 years, 20 something years, it reminds me of my whole family, really. That's why the contrasts between what it means to me and the very little press that this plant gets in the everyday life of the plant YouTube sphere kind of puts me in a little bit of a weird situation. But anywho, we all have these kind of plants that actually are not worth that much of money, but they're worth so much in our heart because they remind us of moments of family members or anything. It might be an old begonia, it might be a cactus, it might be, you know, we all have our plants, and I'm sure that you will most probably connect with what I'm saying right now. So that was it for the emotional part of the video. And this side of the yucca tree actually brings me to one of the reasons why it's one of the best plant for beginner really. It is that it's very easy to propagate. You can literally just cut the trunk and give the stick the way that it is to a friend, to a family member, and it's just put it in the soil and it will grow back. A little bit like the Pilea peperomoides is considered to be the friendship plant, because it's a plant that easily makes plugs and baby plants, and you can just share it everywhere around. For me, my friendship slash sharing plant is the yucca, which is probably why I've been growing that many specimens. It is so versatile, you know, you can have it as a little plant, you can make it look very bushy, or you can let it grow like a tree, like this. For those of you who don't know the story of this yucca, I actually found it in the street in front of my work during a rainy day, and it looked so sad and it was abandoned. I think it came from the office next door, who obviously neglected it to a point where it was very close to die, and it was smelling so bad, and it was in a pot. I'm not kidding you, I think it was in a pot that was about this size for the whole tree that it is, and it was obviously not the appropriate amount of space that the roots needed. And I don't know the whole story behind it. Maybe they tried and they never managed to get any results, or maybe they just can't be bothered, or maybe, you know, we all have our reasons to give up and just put the plants in the bin. But it just broke my heart, because I saw that the plant as an entity was fine, kind of thing. Like I was pretty sure that this plant could come back, because I have been growing up with this plant for most of my life, so I knew that it could come back from any kind of catastrophe. So this is the story of Hobo. There is of course the story of my very first yucca cutting that I just told you, that comes from my grandma, and she actually literally told me,
I just gave our yuccas a haircut. There are some sticks on the floor if you want to take them.
Yeah, sure, I'll take them. Can you just tell me how I root it? Like, what do I do really?
It's a yucca, my dear. You just take it, you put it in the soil, and it will grow.
Okay, that was my first gardening advice from my grandma. So that's what I did, and it's been 2 years and my two little yuccas are doing perfectly fine. This plant will tolerate a lot of neglect. Let me tell you another one of how a yucca can survive. So I had this little yucca that had a decent trunk, 2 growth points coming out. I brought it back from my office, and I believe there was not enough light, or the conditions weren't quite right, and at some point I gave it too much water, and I saw very quickly that the overall trunk was decaying very fast, and yet somehow the top part of the leaves were just fine. I mean, they were not thriving, they were not growing much, but they were just there, and I was very puzzled because the main trunk was obviously rotted. The skin of the trunk was coming out, like I could just take it and just peel it out. I started to peel off the skin of the main trunk. That's actually the first time ever that I saw a plant doing that. The top part of the growth points grew back some roots from there, and the roots actually made their way through the rotten trunk to find the soil. The growing top points used the dead trunk to guide the roots down to the soil. So it was basically a suspended plant, if you like. I have never seen another plant do that. This plant is actually magic. It will never die. I never tried to kill a plant, but I'm like, if it would be very hard for you to get to the point where your yucca is unsavable. On that note, I have another example. So I see this yucca tree in my office in the state that it was at, like with all the roots going through the trunk and everything. And I thought, okay, that's cool, but that's super weird. Like I'm gonna try something else. I just chopped off the top parts, the leafy parts of the yucca, and it looks like crap. I'm not gonna lie to you. It looks really bad. But I want to show you something. So just to prove my point, okay? That's what's left. okay? Now, I know this looks horrible. Okay, we all agree on that. We don't need to debate on this. This looks awful. I know. You know, we all know, he knows. So that's kind of like the trunk that was left that I cut and put in soil. And what happened straight away is that it started to grow roots and it started to have a growth point from here. And up till a couple of days ago, it actually had a lot of leaves. But I kind of knocked it out and it fell over, and so this part got broken, and I was like, oh my god, this tree is never gonna make it. But just for the sake of the experiment, I just stuck the whole thing back. At this point, this is just basically, that would be considered a node. It would be like having a monstera with just a node and putting it on sphagnum moss and just crossing your fingers to hope that something is going to pop out of there. So that's pretty much what I did. I just stuck it back in the soil, and what do you know? I actually have 3 growing points already on this guy, and it's only been like a week since I knocked him over. I don't know if that's going to come off on camera. I'm going to try to not make a mess, because last time that I tried to shoot this video, I knocked it over again and there was soil everywhere. So okay, let's try to do this. So if you can see here, a little bit all around, there is growing points. So, you know, that was just me telling you that a yucca is beginner proof. As far as aesthetic is concerned, I know that's the main reason why it puts people off. Mind you, I find it so weird that it is endearing. A little bit like I think that dogs with the weirdest faces ever are kind of the cutest. It is very funky looking. I know that what puts people off usually is because it's not, you know, what's trendy right now is more on the arrowhead side, and this guy has nothing of the arrowhead looking plants. It actually looks really rough. It kind of looks the way that the environment where it's from is supposed to treat him. I mean, the trunks get skinny, but if that is ever an issue with you, you can always keep on cutting it down, and multiple growth points will always grow back, and you can have it as a bush. I love them when they look like trees. I personally don't mind the skinny looking part of it, so I just let Hobo live its life the way that it wants. It is very pokey. I can't tell you how many times I've been poked in the butt by this guy while watering other plants, or just you know, looking for something in my flat, and I just bend over and this guy is there poking my back or poking my butt. The leaves are very, very hard and a bit denty. If you touch them on the side, it's like they have little dents. I don't know if I can. I don't know if that's gonna come off on the microphone, but yeah, they have little dents there. I really believe that it makes a very good office plant because it can tolerate from obviously very sunny, direct sun circumstances to low light. I have it pretty far away from my south-facing window. It is a south-facing window, but he is like hidden behind the shelf, behind my biorb, and at least 2 meters away from my window. I would say that it can grow from direct sunlight to medium shadowy light. It does not like overwatering by any mean. I would water this guy once a month, something like that. In the winter, I swear to you, I think I watered it once in 3 months. So this guy doesn't need a lot of water to survive, especially in the winter month when it's cold and it doesn't really need water at all. It depends on what the problem is, but it can come back. Like, it's very hard to kill. It is very cheap, and you can have multiple of these trees with just one of them. And if you want it to be one very bushy plant, you can always get one very long yucca and you just chop it kind of near the soil, and you just chop all the rest of the trunk as little trunks, and you just put it back in the soil, and you will have a bushy plant coming back. So yeah, I think that is it for the second episode. That was a very important episode for me. This is why I wanted to make a whole episode about the Yuca tree, because of the whole sentimental part of it. Don't worry, the other episodes will be about more various type of plants. I believe the next episode will be about the ficus family, which gathers quite a lot of them actually. I really hope that I could share with you and make you feel the love that I have for this plant. If not, it's okay. It's not everybody's cup of tea, I know. I don't know why it doesn't get more credit. It is the best plant for beginners by far. If you want a tree, you can have a yucca. If you want a bush, you can have a yucca. If you just want a little tiny plug plant on the side of your desk, you can have a yucca. It was now or never to talk about it, so here it is. If you like it, if you want to support this channel, please like and subscribe. I know that some of you have asked me on Instagram to do a plant tour. I actually did record one, and then I was not quite very happy with the way I recorded it. So I'm probably gonna record it again. Plus it is the growing season, so I've had more things growing, which I believe that, you know, anyway we need to do an update of the whole footage. So I'm just gonna re-record everything again, and that's coming very soon, I promise. You will see more of my rare / uncommon plants, which I'm more than happy to share. And in the meantime, I hope you're well, and I will see you back again soon. Bye bye!